Like, give your fans what they want, you dinguses.
She probably smokes marijuana. Bad, bad girl.
Rubbish! Here's Buggers over here. Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison, beyond belief.
We did it. We beat those British
We beat the British. Second, Cornwallis.
10 kids. You're basically pregnant for 20 years. Pregnant or breastfeeding. Just wild. Like, that sounds exhausting.
Potheads. What an adorable bunch of people.
Woodson from the gun. Play fake. Step it up. He's throwing deep down the near sideline. He's got Johnson. 20. Down. 5. Touchdown. Kentucky.
Jesus, Roush, get it together.
Yeah, right.
It's game day. Come on.
Welcome to Kentucky Roll Call with Walker and Roush.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you, July 9th, 2025. This is Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. No Nick Roush today, but TJ Walker, me, is here to... I don't miss. I'm not taking a long weekend getaway like Roush. Happy for Roush and hope that he's having a lot of fun, although all his tweets seem to be very local and in town, not out of town, but filling in for Nick Roush for the rest of the week. We're very lucky, incredibly appreciative. We've got WIldcats Tongue. WIldcats Tongue, what's up?
It's good to be here. It's a little bit of a high-pressure situation. Not only am I having to provide some content for this show, but I don't know how ESPN 680 is going to get content this week without Roush.
Wow.
So I feel like I got to step up a little bit.
I love it. That's a great point because they bring him up every single day.
I know.
Roush has had a very busy week in terms of ticking off other fan bases and whatnot. And that a good welcome, a good warm welcome to you because you've been roasting people on social media this week as well. I've really enjoyed your content on the internet, WIldcats Tongue, and I'm sure that will get discussed today, as it already is.
There's a lot of fan bases out there, local fan bases, that it starts with them. I'm impressed by them more than I am annoyed by them. Their ability to just talk and talk and talk without having anything to back it up, and I just kind of point that out to them, and, it makes for some fun content over there on X.com.
It's almost just too easy, and you just slap them around all quick and such, and it's just they have to feel silly, but they don't because they know what they're saying is just nonsense, and they're riling, and they'll just come back with more dribble for you to bat away the next time they do it. And we're going to talk more about it. I'll talk about some specific examples. We'll get into a fun college basketball discussion on today's show. We'd love to hear from you on the Gameday men's text line, 502-414-1450. And part of it is it's summer. There's maybe just not as much that I feel passionate about to talk about. It could be the fact that I'm in my mid-30s as well, and I'm not as hungry for the back and forth fights on the internet. But WIldcats Tongue, does that ever cross your mind that maybe like you are smacking down like a 14-year-old? Because that's probably the case, right? A lot of these goober internet accounts, anonymous Twitter accounts, sometimes I have to remind myself that they're probably like sitting next to their mom and dad during family movie night when they're firing off those tweets. Does it ever cross your mind that maybe it's just like a very immature, idiotic child that you're talking to?
I think if that's the case, you might make the argument that they deserve it more. That you kind of need to
teach them a valuable lesson.
They need to learn about the world,
I like that.
That's just part of life. Is just, hey, this is how the world works. If you say something unintelligent on the internet, someone's going to probably call you out on that.
That's a good point. No, you're spot on about that. We've got WIldcats Tongue in studio. We are streaming on YouTube. What? Or maybe you get to see WIldcats Tongue. You have to head on over to the YouTube page to see what you can see. Give us a like and share and subscribe and do all the YouTube things you're supposed to do.
I've got the YouTube stream up on my phone just so I don't feel like I'm in this room by myself right now. And it is a smorgasbord of just chaos.
Yes. Very busy. It's a very busy page. We've got a lot going on. We wouldn't have it any other way, or at least I wouldn't. I think Roush and literally everybody at the station doesn't like how many pictures I have. But how can I do a radio show and not have DeAndre Liggins on the screen? How can I do a radio show and not have Scoots holding a giant turtle on the screen? It's things that I don't want to have to deal with. But we do have the Big X Kickoff Golf Scramble, August 29th. We've got all that stuff up there as well. And the Up to No Good banner, along with the WIldcats Tongue banner up there as well on the YouTube page. But, yeah, we've got, and people are talking. I've already said hello to John and Patrick over there on the YouTube stream. How's your Wednesday going? How was your Tuesday evening, Wildcats Tongue? What's going on in Wildcats Tongue world?
That's actually a great question. Today I had one of the biggest existential crises that I've had. One of those moments where it becomes real to you how time exists. I played basketball yesterday for the first time in about a month. I've played every once in a while for a little bit. I love playing basketball, a little pickup here and there. I didn't get injured. I didn't have like a moment where I came down on something wrong or like broke something. But I had to go to good old urgent care this morning because my foot just hurt. It is very sharp pain. I thought something might have been broken. There might have been a stress fracture. Luckily, no broken bone, but can't just show up and play pickup anymore without just the risk of not even an injury, just my body failing to not hurt. And that's just one of those real moments of this getting old thing. And I'm a pretty young guy. Getting old sucks.
So it's just kind of man meets world sort of deal. Just this is another fun experience of getting older. Just the random, nothing really happened, but I'm in pain.
I thought that I was kind of getting that moment where I felt like I had to go stretch for a little bit before playing or before doing anything athletic. I thought, oh, this is the moment where I feel like I'm an old guy. But no, that was fine. I didn't hurt myself, but I feel very sharp pain in my foot all day today. And I didn't do anything to it. I just think it's my body telling me that I am not in college anymore.
So I infamously broke my foot on my bachelor party, Wildcats Tongue. I've told that story on roll call a couple times. It was about a month before the wedding. We were in Nashville for the NCAA tournament. Had a couple friends come down and just did the bachelor party sort of deal and went to Topgolf. And I somehow managed to kind of turn my foot, break the smallest little bone that you could break, and had to go to urgent care down there. But it was like a moment of like, oh, but we were drinking, so I don't know exactly when the moment was, but there was a moment of like, oh man, I did something, this isn't good, I hurt myself. Wildcats Tongue, I can't tell you how many people over the span of the next, 12 to 18 hours, when just telling them, broke my foot, I was at Topgolf, I just kind of stepped on it weird, it was really bizarre. And how many people, they were like, are you sure you broke it? And they'd follow it up with, are you sure you just don't have gout? So allow me to gout you, maybe put you gout. Do you have gout?
I am not aware enough of the symptoms of gout. It's something I would love to look at on the internet. The internet's the best doctor in the world because it's free. But no, I think it's some sort of tendonitis. That's what the general diagnosis is, but I have no idea how to tell if it's gout.
Okay. Gout is, Ben Franklin famously had gout. A lot of great people have had gout. It's no big deal to have it. I'm pretty sure I have it, or I had it, undiagnosed, but thank goodness I got an x-ray of my foot just to showcase that there was a literal bone broken in it. Otherwise, I'm convinced my friends would have been like, yeah, you just went to the hospital because you had a bad gout outbreak. Which, by the way, is totally normal. If people do that, that's not the end of the world. But gout is arthritis, and it is supposedly, to some folks, I've got a buddy that gets it routinely, says it's just like the absolute worst pain in the world. I've had some random, very sharp pain in my foot, probably was gout, but didn't go to the doctor for it or get anything for it. But this could be what Wildcats Tongue is dealing with, a bout of gout.
I'll take a look at it, but I really do appreciate you telling me that story because, I was feeling really bad about hurting my foot playing basketball, but breaking a bone playing golf, it is not even the type of golf where you move from place to place.
It's not like I could have fallen out of a cart or just, stepped into a pothole or something like that. It's stationary driving range.
Yeah, that makes me feel a lot better. I do really appreciate you kind of giving me that lifeline.
Yes, absolutely. It was humiliating. I had crutches the next couple days going around Broadway.
Did you have to wear anything for the wedding?
No, I was all right by then. But about 5 days before, I was still in the boot. But I think like one way or another, I wasn't gonna have something on my foot for the wedding. But I was worried about the pain. It ended up being totally fine. And we went to Hawaii for the honeymoon, and it was all good.
That was good. No, right before that wedding, doing anything. I mean, you all played it safe going just to play golf. I mean, I hear stories of some people on their bachelor party, like 2 weeks before the wedding, they're doing stuff that could cause permanent damage to their bodies right before they're about to be in front of a ton of cameras.
Did you have a bachelor party?
I got married in the summer of 2020, so peak COVID.
Yeah.
So there was nothing open. There was nothing you could go do. So we ended up just going to my best man's house. He's got like a real nice house, like a lake in the back, and we just hung out there, had a few to drink, and played some board games, hit some golf balls, played some volleyball, played some disc golf, just anything you could do that didn't involve going out in public without a mask.
Yeah. Well, no, that doesn't sound too shabby, all things considered. The COVID wedding craze is an underrated part of the pandemic. I remember people having to cancel weddings, having to cancel all their plans, venues were being shut down, so it's like the wedding can still go on, but the place that you booked it at, sorry, they're out of business now. Did you have any wild stories with your wedding? We got married in 2018, so luckily didn't have to deal with it. But there's like underrated, obviously with anything in life, aspects of the pandemic that I think we've all just kind of moved on from. Weddings were a crazy time. A lot of my friends were getting married. Babies, a lot of people were having babies. Our first kid was still it was in 2021 and fall of 2021, but still in the COVID protocols of the hospital, which made for a wild time just during that whole encounter. But did you have any venues cancel on you? Any wild stories? Did you have to cut back the guest list or anything like that? I heard it all during the pandemic.
No, we were being very careful. We were very much erring on the side of like, we don't know what this thing is, and we kind of worked with young people, and we don't know what kind of families are going home to, what health issues. We were trying to keep it careful, and at the time we got married, there was a 25 or 50 person like limit, and it kind of had to be within your quote unquote bubble. Our original plan was to have a 250 person wedding, a nice outdoor venue. Luckily, the venue is run by a group that we are friends with, so we were able to work with them. We ended up just having like a 25-person wedding. Unfortunately, luckily, I will say, people who didn't get to go still sent their wedding gifts. So, still got the best part of the wedding. But that was rough. I will say the biggest hiccup that came with COVID is, again, we're trying to be careful, trying to make sure that we're good to go for our wedding. 2 weeks before our wedding, we were invited to another wedding, and we were honored. We were like, we didn't realize that we were so high up on this person's list. I mean, we aren't able to have anyone over 50 people. Is like, okay, I guess we're going. We're one top 50 friends of this group. We show up, and it's like 300 people in a confined indoor area. Like 90% of the people at the time weren't wearing masks. And obviously, with what we know now, it wasn't the biggest deal in the world. But at the time, we were like, we were going to die, or we're going to get someone else sick at our own wedding. It was a nightmare situation, but obviously, luckily, everything in doubt.
They were wild
being okay.
Those were wild times. You had to have those fears. And weddings usually feature older people.
That was a big thing.
It really was. Well, I'm glad we're not dealing with that stuff so much anymore. If you'd like to be a part of the show today, the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Relatively quiet Tuesday night at the Walker household. Had a soccer practice, went pretty well. Kid is potty trained, 3-year-old, and we've talked about that on the show before with Roush. Roush has 3 kids. I have 2. WIldcats Tongue is a confirmed sex haver. You have a kid, right?
I've got 1 kid and 1 on the way. Pretty exciting.
That's very exciting. Yeah. Congrats to the family. That's great. Kids are awesome. Have many of them. We're dealing with the 3, all of it, which is now getting close to like 9:30-ish, 9:15 by the time we're done with all of it. She waits till the very end, and then she has to go number 2, WIldcats Tongue. What can I do to stop the late-night number 2s?
Honestly, while that is frustrating in my mind, and I'm at a different stage. My son is not potty trained yet, but it seems like the latest you go potty as a child, the less of a chance you have at an accident at night. So I would say that's almost a positive, but if we're going number 2 every night right at bedtime.
Oh, she knows what she's doing.
Oh, I'm sure. And my son does a similar thing where as soon as we're in the bed, he wants to read another book or he wants to do whatever, just anything to get out of the bed or anything to extend bedtime.
They get prolonged. It's just, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And you want to be nice and accommodate. And this is a really touchy area because we're very happy that she is potty independent and that she can do these things mostly by herself. If we're at home and she's going number 2, she can wipe and do kind of the stuff all on her own. But we like to maybe give it just a double check, so she may not be balling out all day with just dirty drawers, if you know what we're saying. But at bedtime, it's a little bit different because we definitely don't want her sleeping in potentially her own mess if it comes down to that. So we're appreciative that she doesn't takes the initiative, but it's her way of staying up later, a little bit more freedom because she gets to use her own bathroom, leave her room, go to the bathroom, wash her hands. It just adds on about 20 minutes to her evening. But we don't want to, like, crush her spirit and tell her, no more number 2s after bedtimes, because we like that she does it. So it's a kind of a touchy area. We don't want to feel like she's in trouble by doing this, but we do also want it to just go with the normal bedtime routines. Because we'll do the potty, we'll do the brushing the teeth, we'll again, everything that goes with it. I'm curious if you had any advice on that, but probably just need to kind of keep letting her do it.
Yeah, my main thing, the thing I fear about is that you get a boy who cries wolf situation where the one time you say no, that you aren't going to allow it, is the time where, oh, she really had to go, and now you have a even more prolonged bedtime trying to clean up some sheets and replace that. So I don't know. I'm not at that stage, but I mean, just thinking about how I would react, sure, 20 more minutes is fine as long as I'm not cleaning anything up.
It's a good way to look at it, Wildcats Tongue. I like your perspective there. We've got T-ball tonight, and the YMCA T-ball league just gets wonkier and crazier because we're playing tonight. Nothing wrong with that. 6 o'clock game. We're taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates are going down. I feel confident about that. But here's the interesting caveats. Another game tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Wow. So back-to-back T-ball nights for 3-year-olds. So no rest up. Secondly, the back-to-back game starts at 7 p.m., which is wild because that's bedtime for some 3-year-olds.
For how old? For 3?
3, yes. We've got a 2-year-old on our team. She's not supposed to be on the team, but we're okay with it. We just kind of allowed it to happen.
I mean, I know you've talked about it before, but even just the fact that you're playing T-ball in the month of July is already too much. Like, that is a spring sport.
Just keeps going and going. It's like T-ball in July, that's a bad idea.
Or at worst, a fall sport. You play some fall ball, that's fine. Because they have to stay in town. They're in school.
Back-to-back games, that's a bad idea. A 7 o'clock start time, that's a bad idea. It just keeps going and going, Wildcats Tongue. And then, on top of it, we found out we've got a game on Monday. So it's like 3 games. What is this? This is, like, I feel like if they were high schoolers, I'd say, like, all right, this is probably a little too much. You got to worry about being a kid. But we're doing this with 3-year-olds, 3 games in about 5 days? What?
You better make sure that bullpen is nice and rested. Make sure those arms feel real good. Because
putting the ball up on the tee, putting the ball up on the tee, putting the ball up on the tee.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've talked about it a little bit, but are you still keeping score, like, on your own for these games?
No, you don't keep score, actually. So there's really, even though I tell the daughter that we win every single game,
of course,
there's actually no score because every kid gets to get on first base and every kid gets to touch home base. So theoretically, the team with the most players would be the winning team each and every week.
There you go.
How I judge it is how organized is your team, how much fun does it look like they're having, and obviously how good are they at T-ball. And we're undefeated. We're 2-0.
Of course.
We've been more disciplined. We've had more fun. We get cookies after the game. The players really get excited about that. It is a little awkward when I'm kind of walking down I'm not kidding you, Wildcats Tongue. There was probably 70 people at the game, our last game. People, parents, grandparents, it is crazy how many people show out for these games. Probably the biggest crowd some of these kids will ever play in unless they go on to do anything. But it was a little awkward being like, all right, here you go. You're wearing an orange jersey. You can have a cookie. And then the players who weren't on our team kind of just having to pass them in the line. I'll have to be a little more discreet with the treat giving. And you may say, well, couldn't you give the other team treats? What do you think, I'm made of money? Volunteering my time. What more do I need to do?
No, they've got coaches. They've got parents.
Coaches. Yeah, they've got parents. Exactly. Well said, Wildcats Tongue. We've got a fun show planned for you today. We'd love to hear from you on the Game Day Men's Health text line. Say what's up to Wildcats Tongue. We'd love to hear from you on the YouTube stream. People are saying they can't see Wildcats Tongue.
That's the point.
That's the point. You're not allowed to. He's a mystery man. Have you ever thought about just not being anonymous anymore?
There really is only about like 2 or 3 people in this world that I personally prefer not to know my online activities. If you meet me in person and I hear you're a Kentucky fan, I'm going to let you know that I'm Wildcats Tongue. But other than that, there's just a couple people in my life that may or may not. It would benefit me if they did not know, and that's enough to keep me. But my brand is Wildcats Tongue. If I came out and show my face, do you think people are going to call me by my name and recognize me by my face? No, they're going to recognize me as Wildcats Tongue. So I'm just going to keep it for now.
Yes, they'd say, "Hey, Demetrius, we're going to call you Wildcats Tongue."
Yeah, absolutely not. No, I have a brand that I've built on, and that's just what I'm going to keep up with.
And that brand is a phallic-shaped tongue of an old logo, everybody. Gameday Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, no results, nothing but results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com, defining a new era in men's health. NCAA tournament expansion is going to happen, and it's being talked about again today. We will talk about it on the show. We will talk about Wildcats Tongue most recent interview with Ansley Amador, which I listened to yesterday. That was cool to get to hear. So we'll discuss that with Wildcats Tongue. Stephen Peake in hour number 2, and your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line. You're listening to a Wednesday version of Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
Get your Saturday morning wake-up call on Big X Sports Radio. Wake Up 502 with Rashawn Myers every Saturday morning from 9 until 11 a.m. Only on WXVW 96.1 and 1450 a.m. The Big X. Joined by the architect himself, Haven Harrington. They bring you all the sports commentary and opinions on both local and national sports you need to get your weekend started. Wake Up 502. It's more than just talk.
Swing into the action at Park Mammoth Golf Club, a breathtaking and challenging course just off I-65 in Park City, Kentucky. Stay in the know with the Park Mammoth Golf Club app. Get course updates, special offers, GPS, gift cards, and easy tee time bookings. After your round, unwind at the Mammoth Grill, where delicious food meets stunning course views in our brand new clubhouse. Visit parkmammothgolfclub.com and experience the best in golf today.
Honey Baked Ham in New Albany is the perfect spot for a healthy alternative to fast food. They provide a variety of freshly made sandwiches, as well as salads and delicious soups. And you can dine in or take it to go. They also have many dinner options such as ham, turkey, frozen sides, and desserts, which provide a complete meal. Catering is also available for small groups or large gatherings. Call Honey Baked Ham today, 812-941-9426, or visit them, 3602 Northgate Court, Suite 23 in New Albany.
The plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and HVAC technicians of Local 502's commitment to excellence can be seen in our community every day. The KFC Yum Center, Ford Motor Company, and the Omni Hotel are just a few examples of their professional craftsmanship. Local 502 has been part of our community for over a century and invests over $1 million annually training skilled local workers. Members of Local 502 are your friends, neighbors, and children's coaches. For more information, go to lu502.com. Local 502, built on excellence, building a better tomorrow.
Hey, this is General Manager Troy Miles here at the Big X. If you're in the roofing business, plumbing, window company, luxury cars and trucks, hormone replacement, if you're into recruiting or wealth management, I have something to talk to you about. The audience at WXVW is men with money, the guys who make decisions and spend big. And we've got an opening for category exclusive advertising. That means when you partner with us, you're the only game in town. At the Big X, we specialize in taking the little guys and turn them into the big guys. No fluff, no race, just smart advertising that works. We've done it before, and we're ready to do it with you. But spots are limited. Call me today at 502-259-8085. That's 502-259-8085.
Don't miss all the exciting action of Louisville Bats baseball, AAA affiliate of the
Football, soccer, and ballet, squeezing scouts and PTA, and there's that shopping list she left that's 7 pages long. How much smoke can one stove make?
Welcome back, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. WIldcats Tongue, are you familiar with Lone Star's Mr. Mom?
I cannot say that I am.
I remember the song was very popular in like 2009 or when I was in high school. And I don't know, it was catchy, but I don't think I ever really like paid attention to the lyrics.
Been crazy all day long, and it's only Monday, mister.
And the story of the song is he got laid off from his job, and his wife's like, well, I can pick up hours, I'll work, you take care of the kids. And he quickly realizes that taking care of the kids is really, really hard, and
who would have thought?
He's not so good at Mr. Mom. That's my point. Is I remember like listening to the song and just being like, oh, it's a catchy song about like a dad taking care of the kids and whatnot. But then you start listening to it. How do you not know how hard it is to watch kids? How out of things were you, Mr. Mom?
One, I mean, you could just think about the things that kids need to survive, much less thrive, and just think that that's pretty hard. But also, did you not talk to any single or like stay-at-home mom about anything ever? Because they'll tell you that it's hard.
Oh, for sure. And like, if you're a dad, you feel like you'd be around enough to be like, yes, this is difficult. But I thought, here's the lyrics, all right? Balancing checkbooks, juggling bills, thought there was nothing to it. Baby, now I know how you feel. What I don't know is how you do it. How unappreciative are you, Mr. Mom?
No empathy. It's like, I won't believe you until I personally go through it.
I thought your job was just easy peasy and I had to go to work, but I could find out. The opening lyric is, I thought I liked the sound of that, his wife having to go pick up shifts because he lost his job. I thought I liked the sound of that, watch TV, take long naps, go from hardworking dad to being Mr. Mom. What?
Fantasy world.
Fantasy, it doesn't exist. Shopping list that's 7 pages long. How much smoke can one stove make? You being a bad cook, though, should have been discovered long before you had to watch the kids at home.
If you had not touched a stove until you were put in that situation, that's on you. And I think this is someone that does not... My wife will not let me cook. I mean, I could try, but it's not going to go well. But it's not like I don't know how to use the appliances in my own kitchen.
Exactly. I'm not a great cook either, but I could prepare food for my kids and not be at the risk of burning the house down. Secondly, how many kids are we even working with here? Football, soccer, and ballet, squeeze in scouts and PTA, and it's only Monday? What?
I mean, honestly, that could just be 1 or 2 kids with the way things are now. Just everybody's doing everything.
It could be, but that's a lot. That's a lot going on for Mr. Mom. I heard that song when cutting the grass, and it was like, I've not heard that song in so long. Listen to the lyrics. Got a good laugh at it. Welcome back, Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. If you want to get in touch with the show, the Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. We got WIldcats Tongue in studio today. Steve and Peake joining us in just about 30 minutes. We'll have Trivia Thursday tomorrow. WIldcats Tongue, are you excited to do Trivia Thursday tomorrow?
I'm so incredibly nervous. Like, I could not be more nervous because the main thing, I am very bad at two things, and that is remembering names and remembering years. And that's kind of the two things you need to do in order to be good at Corey Price Trivia. And
big on the years, he's big on the names.
Yeah, so like you say, oh, I remember that movie coming out, or I remember that actor or actress. They could be 30, they could be 60, and I would not know the difference.
I'm right there with you. That's why Roush is huge for those aspects of the trivia.
I have to redo those roles a little bit. If I ever have to guess first, I'm going to need a preemptive no judgment zone implemented.
Well, this isn't Planet Fitness, so you're in big trouble, Wildcats.
Fantastic.
No, I'm kidding. We'll have a bunch of mistakes, and that's just the way that it'll go on Kentucky Roll Call. And that'll be quite all right. But before we get to Trivia Thursday tomorrow with Corey Price, Weird Wednesday, piqued my interest with Stephen Peake. Also going to talk with Derek Terry tomorrow in the second hour. Talk a little Batcats and a lot going on with the Batcats. Some great news for Nick Mingione and that program, which should quite literally be a top 10, top 15 team heading in to next year, although it's very far away. Much closer is the ISCO Championship at Hurstbourne starting tomorrow. And WIldcats Tongue, what do you make of St. Xavier High School having 5 Louisville natives and high school alums in the ISCO Championship field? We talked a little bit about it on Roll Call yesterday, but the event starts tomorrow. Pretty cool, right?
I mean, Tiger Tech over there, with the new golf facility, they better have some of those guys playing in some tournaments.
That's a good point. You got Drew Doyle and Brendan Doyle, 2020 and 2014, respectively. Cooper Musselman, 2013. Daniel Eisman, 2008 graduate. And Steven Stallings Jr., 2013 graduate. So it looked like Daniel Eisman would be the only person that I would have shared the hallways with. I guess maybe some of those 13 guys could have been freshmen. I don't know how years really work out. But the ISCO Championship is giving 15% off general admission if you use the, I guess that's just for St. X alums. Sorry, everybody. Not for you.
There you go.
If there was a promo code, I'd be happy to give it out, but it's a direct link.
I do hope that they pair some of those guys together for these first 2 days. I don't know if that's the case. I need to look at that. But, yeah, I mean, getting to play in your own city in a professional golf tournament, that's not something that you get to do very often.
No, and Hurstbourne's one of the toughest courses in the state. It's beautiful. It kind of weaves in and out of Hurstbourne neighborhood. Make sure your music isn't too loud. Make sure your lights aren't too bright if you're out in the Hurstbourne neighborhood. I wanted to do the shows out there, and I don't know what really ever came of that, but I would have thought it'd be fun for the next 2 days to be out there just on some random hole doing the shows. Maybe we can find somebody that just lives out at Hurstbourne that can have us out there to do the shows. But that starts tomorrow. 5 St. X alum golfers playing in the event. That's got to be some kind of record. Do you think Justin Thomas should have said, hey, Scottish Open, you're not as important as the Tiger Tech Invitational?
I mean, I will say this as someone who cheers for Justin Thomas. I mean, it's not like he was going to win the Scottish Open. I mean, he could. But
wow.
Here's the thing. The way Justin Thomas plays, or at least the way I've noticed, is he will have one day where he shoots like the course record and then be like 2 over par the next day.
That does seem to kind of be his MO. He's actually having a much better year than I think a lot of people.
I've not paid attention enough this year to really know, so I may be just talking nonsense.
He's having a great year. He's well in the Ryder Cup projections. Wouldn't have to be a captain's pick. I think he won a tournament already. I think he won one tournament this year, but has been in contention for a couple of them. Just hasn't really been in the thick of the majors so far. And I agree with you. Like, I really think he should have played in the Hurstbourne. I know it's ridiculous. I know when you're talking about the money sort of stuff. I know it's just a terrible take. He's doing the right thing playing in the Scottish. But the only reason this many people play in that tournament, WIldcats Tongue, is because the British Open's next week. And they just want to get a feel for link style. They want to get a feel for being over in Europe, getting used to the times and just that style of golf, being in that part of the world. Big whoop. Big whoop.
I think this goes, specifically this situation, but I think it goes with a lot of sports, is a lot of the decisions are made on the money, and obviously the money's going to be better at the Scottish Open. But even 2 years from now, is Justin Thomas going to be remembered, even if he wins the Scottish Open? Is he going to be remembered for doing that or just being there at Hurstbourne this week? Like, people are going to talk about that more than they'll talk about a Scottish Open, no matter what. And I feel like that might be a little more valuable than a couple extra $1,000 to go over across the pond.
That's a good point. I love it. I just think it would have been cool to have 6 St. X golfers all right there. Some of them would have played together. Most of them probably wouldn't. A majority of them likely wouldn't have made the cut, but it would have been cool to be headlined by Justin Thomas. Would have been big for St. X. The Genesis Scottish Open has a total prize purse of $9 million, with the winner receiving $1.6, and the ISCO Championship has a total purse of $4 million, with the winner earning $720,000. So
that's nothing.
If you're talking about winning, you are talking about an extra, just about $1 million between the two tournaments. However, Justin Thomas would clean up the ISCO Championship at Hurstbourne. So you're talking about like a nice $720,000 paycheck versus maybe $1.6 million if you were to win, but probably not going to.
I mean, I don't know Justin Thomas's game. I'm not that into like assessing what golfers need to do, but maybe he just needs to get used to the climate over there rather than the links golf course and just like how it comes off his club. I don't know.
It's going to be wet. It's going to be windy. It's going to be rainy. I mean, we know what the climate is. It's not good. You should come be sweating in this humidity, Justin Thomas. All right? But that starts tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Justin Thomas in the Scottish Open. We'll be rooting for him. He tees off at 3:17 a.m. So if you are late to bed or an early riser, you could check out a couple shots from our boy JT. One little behind the scenes, I didn't mute the YouTube cameras during the commercial break, which is not a big deal. You got to hear the commercials through the YouTube stream. They've asked us not to play the commercials over the YouTube stream, so I normally will mute it. But you maybe, in the very, very faint background, got to hear the behind baseball Ansley Almanor interview, because Ansley Almanor was on with Rupp to No Good. I listened to it while cutting the grass. One of the things I said during the commercial break was like, it was hard to hear Ansley. He was speaking so softly. But I enjoyed that interview. That was cool. I mentioned on yesterday's Kentucky Roll Call, he's going to bridge the gap for La Familia from the Pope era to the Calipari era. Excited to get to watch him play and the entire La Familia team here in just 9 days. It'll be a week from Friday, Memorial Coliseum. 9 p.m. tip, a little late for my blood, but that's okay. And we're up to no good. Got to talk with Ansley Almanor. I enjoyed it, Wildcats Tongue. How was it getting to speak with the former UK Wildcat?
I mean, this is a guy that I think the average fan, he was a fan favorite. And it's rare to get a guy like that to be just so unanimously a fan favorite. I think we got that with a guy like Lance Ware, someone who was very much a role player, but every fan loved him. And so the opportunity to interview him and talk to him was really awesome. You could just tell by the way he talks about it and the way he answers the questions that he is truly appreciative of his time at Kentucky. And I have a feeling he'll be staying in and around Lexington for quite a long time because he loved that experience so much.
You see that happen a lot. A lot of former players come back, stay in Lexington. Obviously, Daniel Lorden, to mixed results his time back in Lexington. But a lot of people that play basketball, whether it's for a year or many years, find a home back in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Also, you mentioned Daniel Lorden. I think if we were in today's time and he had the career he had, he would be among that, like, Lance Ware, Ansley Almanor, just loved by everybody. Just with social media and all that, I think he would have been a real big fan favorite. I don't know. He might have been back in 2010. I'm not sure, but I think it was more of an afterthought with John Wall being there.
I think you and I, when talking and previewing Ansley Almanor's one season at UK, we differed on expectations about how. I think the exact conversation was, he's going to win Kentucky a game, and I was like, I don't know if I'll agree with it. Well, I think that's debatable in a certain capacity. But where you were exactly right with your Ansley Almanor love and hype throughout the season was, this is a dude that came to Kentucky, and you all mentioned this on the podcast with Ansley from Monday, but a guy who came from Kentucky, could have gone a lot of other places, been the guy, or been a very, very important role player on good teams expected to win their conferences, but decided to take probably one of the smallest realistic roles that were presented to him. He played the fewest minutes at Kentucky that he had played in college basketball since his freshman year at FDU. And he only played 5 minutes more at Kentucky. He averaged 14 minutes per game. This is a dude, D1 college basketball, was a part of one of the biggest wins in NCAA tournament history. He was averaging 32 minutes a game the year before. And he elected to say, you know what, ain't about all the minutes here. I want to go be a part of something that's a little different, something that's unique, something that I dreamed of having the opportunity. And I love the fact that Ansley Almanor also, when talking, it almost kind of fits that same MO as somebody who's saying, I don't need the minutes. I'm fine being a good role player if that's the better situation for me. He brings up the epitome of that in Isaiah Briscoe, who didn't come to Kentucky during the transfer portal era, and maybe that would have changed his story, but goes to UK, plays with Tyler Ulis, who had already been in the program, plays with Jamal Murray, who's a projected lottery pick, ends up obviously being a lottery pick, and Briscoe's like, all right, I'll come back. Probably in his brain thought to be the guy, right? I've been in Cal's system. I'm ready to rock and roll. Who does UK bring in? Other guards that happen to be named Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox.
Who's that?
And Isaiah Briscoe goes from being like, well, never mind. I'm not the guy. I'll just have to find a role. And he did it so damn well. And part of the reason that 2017 team was as good as it was is because Isaiah Briscoe was putting the clamps down on people defensively, and he wasn't somebody that had to go get his. However, if you put your third best defender on him, he was probably going to go take him to the rim and score if he didn't step on the out-of-bounds line, WIldcats Tongue. I had to throw that in there. And I was a big Isaiah Briscoe fan, probably more so than the average UK fan was. But I love that Ansley brought him up because that's just not a name you hear normally when you bring up former UK greats.
Yeah, that's one where, this was before I was online, I was a huge Isaiah Briscoe fan. I loved watching him play. Like, I knew he didn't have the three-point shot, but that made what he did even more impressive to me. And it wasn't until I got on social media and whenever his name was brought up, I realized how poorly a lot of fans kind of talked about him. They were like, oh, he always stepped on the end line, or oh, he just never learned how to shoot.
He did step on the end line too much. Too much. But you know what? It's because he was being aggressive, right? A little Archie Goodwin. Archie Goodwin got a lot of blame just because he was trying to be aggressive when Julius Mays was standing 30 feet away from the basket. I love you, Julius Mays, but somebody had to try to score.
I heard a take, I think this was Jordan Cooley on Twitter said this, that Archie Goodwin is the guard version of Brandon Garrison. And I think that might be the most accurate basketball take I've ever heard in my life.
Let me ask you this, when talking Isaiah Briscoe, and we're devolving this conversation, so what, it happens at summer radio. You get 4 years of this player in your college program. And I get there may be some caveats that could change your answer. You're free to ask as many questions as you'd like, WIldcats Tongue. You get 4 years of Ashton Hagans or Isaiah Briscoe. Who you taking?
Oh, man, that's tough.
Right? Isn't that pretty comparable?
I would say it's very comparable. I think I would take Ashton because I think his ceiling for 4 years would have been higher.
Interesting.
I mean, because Ashton, he set steals and assist records when he was at Kentucky. But, I mean, both of those guys for 4 years, I mean, you're talking all SEC by the time that they're a senior.
I would certainly think so, and maybe even before then. Their numbers are eerie. If you just want to go with their overall UK numbers, both played Ashton played in 67 games. Isaiah played in 70. Isaiah played 31 minutes per game. If you're rounding up, Ashton Hagans played 31 minutes per game. They averaged, just again going on their overall totals, their career totals, Ashton Hagans averaged 9 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Isaiah Briscoe, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. I'm rounding up some. Very similar. And I think with Ashton, you're getting the better defender. Maybe, I don't know. I guess that's subjective in its own right. But you're getting a person that's going to get you more steals, and he's more athletic.
Right.
With Isaiah, you're probably getting the better disciplined defender staying in front of his man, and you're getting somebody who's better at getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, I really think I know this is kind of a cop-out answer, but it really depends on the teams that you're with. I think in a vacuum,
it probably does.
I probably lean towards 4 years of development from Ashton, just because I think those decision-making things get a little bit better. But, I mean, if you have a good shot blocker, Ashton's the perfect guard to have, just taking risks and on the perimeter, going for steals. But if you kind of have that, I mean, ironically, Ashton Hagans' team, the 2019 team, where you don't really have a shot blocker, that's when you more want an Isaiah Briscoe there.
That's a good point. No, you're probably right about that. Their three-point shooting numbers were just absolutely
we don't need to talk about that.
Goodness gracious. 26%. We'll round up, do Ashton Hagans a favor, get him to 27%. And we'll do our boy a solid, Isaiah Briscoe, get him up to 23%. Which, granted, a little bit of that was just a terrible 14% three-point shooting season his freshman year. He got back to 29% his sophomore year. So that was better. 29% was better than anything Ashton Hagan ever had as a three-point shooter. But both comparable in the sense of not great outside shooters. Go ahead and give me Ashton. I agree with you. I just think his ceiling would have been a little bit higher over the course of 4 years. His athleticism, I think, is just more beneficial in the college game. So I'd take Ashton, but it's close between the two.
And I think those type of guys are exactly what, just not to fully change the subject, but like NIL era, those are the type of guys that do come back for 3-4 years.
Great point.
So I think this is a really exciting time. Like someone like Denzel Aberdeen would have been in the league easily this past year. But instead, with the portal and with NIL, he's going to be suiting up for the Cats.
There's so many UK players in the Calipari era where it's just, no, don't go. And it's just, I need money, though. Better than school. Not getting any money in school, so just going to go try to do something.
Yeah, they definitely were not giving those guys anything.
Wink, wink. Dakari Johnson's always going to be one of the biggest ones to me. Just no business going pro. Would have totally changed the landscape of that 2015-2016 team had he decided to stay. But enjoyed the interview, and do you think, what are your expectations for Ansley in the TBT? And secondly, let me just ask you this, because we hear a lot about this on the text line, WildCats Tongue. How much do you care about the TBT?
I am the biggest TBT fan in the world.
Love that.
I watched it before Kentucky had a team. I'm a big fan of YD3. That's my favorite TBT team other than La Familia. I like the D3 team has not won a game yet.
That's all right.
But it's close because they're always made like the 8 seed, which is the lowest seeds. They always have to play a 1 seed in the first game, but they're always like 5 points away from winning. But no, I love the TBT. I think it's a perfect tournament. It's perfect for the summer. You get guys, like you have teams where it's just an amalgamation of guys like fighting for contracts, fighting to get noticed. And then you have other teams where it's just an amalgamation of alumni, just great for nostalgia. And it's a perfect tournament like structure. Second place gets nothing. First place gets $1 million. That's just entertaining. That's just really fun to watch. And so apart from that, now having a team of Kentucky alumni, yeah, I'm going to care. I'm going to really get into that. I am really excited for this year. And with Ansley, I think that he's one of those guys. He'll be one of the younger guys out there. And he's a guy who, in his most recent stretch of basketball during SEC play, shot over 50% from 3. I'm going to say that plays pretty well in a TBT setting.
That's a great point. And for him to be an afterthought on that team with his shooting, I really think it's going to be a tough assignment for Ansley Almanor, just going against these grown men.
I don't think he starts. I think he comes in behind Willie and behind Karam Cantor, but he subs in, and all of a sudden you got a 6'9" guy who it's got some weight to him. You can't just push him around, and he could shoot 50% from 3. That's going to make life a little bit easier for the Harrison twins or for DeAndre or for Archie to get into the rim.
He could. If I'm Ansley or if I'm Sean Woods, I'm coaching this team, I'm just, you are camped out on the perimeter. I don't even really want you to move inside so much because I think a lot of people are going to have to collapse down. I think some of these guards are going to be able to beat some people off the dribble, and he's going to, I think, get plenty of shots if he's ready to knock them down. That was part of the interview that he was especially quiet in yesterday. What did he mention about playing with some of these other former greats?
We tried to get him to pick like the guy he's most excited to play with, but he did the politic answer of like, "Well, I'm excited for everybody to get to know everybody." But like, I know you're not as excited to play with like DJ Burns than you are to play with Willie Cauley-Stein. Like, there's clearly a difference there. But no, he's really excited for the opportunity just to keep playing with I mean, no, it doesn't say Kentucky, but to keep playing for the Kentucky fan base. He really bought into BBN, and he gets I mean, if I'm in his position, I'm finding any excuse to keep doing stuff in front of BBN. So,
well said.
Really happy for him.
502-414-1450 is the Gameday Men's Health text line. What did Ansley Almanor say about NCAA tournament expansion?
I hope he is not Seth Davis. He didn't say anything else about it.
Let me ask you this about the Seth Davis stuff. Is that all that brought up that conversation again today, or was that I had a couple people texting me being like, "Why is everybody talking about tournament expansion? Did they decide to expand it? Is there a piece of news that's out there that people that I missed, or was it just Seth Davis tweeting?"
If something happened, I missed it as well. I really think Seth found the ultimate engagement hack.
Is that what it is?
If it is, I kind of respect him for it.
You could be onto something because there really aren't there's nobody that is pro tournament expansion except Seth Davis and a few others on social media. So that's a good point that it could just be good business to plant your flag in total contrarian territory. And that's maybe what Seth Davis is doing.
But the thing is, you look at those tweets, and they have maybe 30 likes and 80 replies. And just no one is agreeing with him. They're all just fighting with him. But again, to be fair, if it works, it works. Might as well stick your foot in the ground.
His takes are terrible. They're really tough.
He even for someone that wants to expand the tournament, he has the wrong reasons for why to expand the tournament. Why do you not want to expand the tournament? Let's get on that.
I don't want to expand the tournament because I fear it will devalue the regular season.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why I don't want to expand the tournament. I also think if you expand the tournament, I think you're already getting teams in the field that really don't deserve to be in the field. And I get that that's totally subjective. Why do you get to decide who's in or who's out? Why is the arbitrary number 68? Why couldn't it be more? Listen, if it does expand, and I'm pretty convinced it's going to, and that stinks, I absolutely hate it. If you took a poll of college basketball fans, I would guess 90% would say not to expand, and that maybe it probably should be more than that. If you were to even open it up and say, hey, we can expand, we can keep it the same, or we can get rid of a few teams, get it back to 64, I would bet you that getting it back to 64 would win that poll. If that was, I'll put it out there and see what people would say about that. But they're going the wrong way. I'm very convinced they're only doing it for money.
That's the only reason.
I know Seth Davis disagrees with that, which just almost blows my mind that he could realistically actually think that. If he does, which I don't think he does. But I worry that if you add teams, would that Tuesday and Wednesday be miserable? No, more basketball. Okay, I'm going to watch. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to complain about it. But I'll watch. It's not going to be the end of the world if they decide to do it. But you really are jeopardizing the regular season more. And in a college basketball sport that most people don't pay attention to until after football season as is, I just don't think that's the play. I don't think that's a smart thing to do. And I think once you let the genie out of the bottle, they're never going to go back. They're not going to have 1 year where they say, all right, we're at 72. We messed up. We're going to go back to 68. It's just never going to happen. So once you do it, it's there forever. And I don't think it's going to be as valuable as they think. It's going to make regular season games less meaningful because you'll lose and say, well, who cares? Yeah, they're still going to make the tournament.
That's my thing is Seth's arguments are always y'all love this product at the NCAA tournament. What's more of it? Would more of it not be good? It's not just about that product. We think the product of college basketball is amazing. And by messing with what it takes to make the tournament, make the postseason, you lessen that product. And like you said about the first four, there's no need to expand that. Off the top of your head, can you name the 4 teams that won a first 4 game this year?
This year?
This past year.
I know UNC did.
Yes.
San Diego, they beat San Diego State, I think.
That's correct. Did you watch these games?
I did. I mean, it's March and it's basketball. I watched the CBI, dude. So, yes, I watch them, but not proudly.
Yeah.
I don't remember the other one.
Exactly. That's kind of the point. Is these are NCAA tournament games. They're the only 4 games on in this 2-day stretch, and you can't remember. By the way, it was Alabama State, Mount St. Mary's, and Xavier are the 3 other teams that won. You don't recognize them as tournament games. I hate that I have to say that Mount St. Mary's has an NCAA tournament win this year. They don't.
Yeah. I'm with you. It seems like though the NCAA, they went to who they thought were their finest people. Hey, can you all tell people it's going to be okay? Can you try to put it out there that this isn't going to be the end of the world? So they tapped Seth Davis to do the job.
All the people.
And boy, has he done a bad job. Now, I am going through his Twitter account, and he's talking about these small school conference commissioners that want to expand. Yeah, because more money into their programs. That's the way it's being sold to them.
Yeah, it's not because they'll get more teams in. They won't. It'll be the big conferences that get more teams in.
It will be, but they will still get a kickback from that. These small conferences will. So they may think, they're like, all right, well, it's better, no kickback or some kickback. It's better this way. It's just not going to be better for the fans, though.
That is the only benefit, I think. Alabama State and Mount St. Mary's got money for winning NCAA tournament games this year. I think it's the only benefit to expanding the tournament right
just
there.
Give them, find a way to better break up the pool as is. All right, hour number 2. Piqued my interest, Stephen Peake. We're going to turn the page to USA Soccer, which is going to be a fun discussion. Don't go anywhere.
Big X, AM 1450 and 96.1 FM, WXV.
You say over? I ain't heard no fat lady.
Welcome back for hour 2 of Kentucky Roll Call
Nothing is over until we decide it is.
with Walker and Roush.
We're just getting started, bro.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. And we've got Stephen Peake in the house, along with WIldcats Tongue on your Wednesday edition of the show. Get in touch with the Gameday Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. Stephen Peake, how are you, buddy? We got you on the YouTube cameras, looking good. We still have we do see WIldcats Tongue right hand.
I was going to say, I pulled it up earlier.
There's a thumbs up.
And I wondered if we were going to see his face. I still can't see his face right now.
One thing that I can confirm is that WIldcats Tongue is white.
Well, there you go.
And he does have a right hand.
So that narrows it down.
When I was first invited on a few weeks ago with Matt Sack, one of the things I was considering doing was just showing up with a ski mask. But I felt like walking into the building holding a ski mask in my hand may not have been received the best. So, the YouTube stream, it looks beautiful. I do appreciate the cover-up.
We've got you covered up all nice. You can't see your face. Can't see Stephen Peake's face, though. Tennessee fans probably want to pummel it.
I'm sure. This is one of the times Nick Roush always tells me don't read the comments. And this was the time I took his advice. I decided to opt out of reading all those comments. Usually I try to check in on YouTube. There were a few little personal shots, but that's okay. I totally expected it when I went on that rant last week. The truth hurts. And I think, Tennessee fans they remind me a lot of Kentucky fans, honestly. And that's kind of, there was an old ESPN commercial that showed like 2 soccer fans, and one of them, they hated him for all the same things that they did. That's kind of the rivalry between Tennessee. It's a big fan base, very passionate, and you drop a few truth bombs on them that are negative about their program, and they don't like you very much.
My favorite is when the Tennessee fans hit you with the back to the coal mines, as if Tennessee isn't a top 5 state in producing coal.
Never understood that one. Never understood. Let's go after blue-collar workers and make fun of them.
I like when you have Tennessee and Alabama folk make fun of Kentucky for, like, incest, cousin loving.
Like, shall we look at the statistics there? Let's not do that.
Let's all just calm down on pointing the fingers about the blue-collar aspects of our cultures, all right? One thing that really actually does rile me up a little bit, that's probably the goal, so you can't give them the attention, is when they're like, couple Kentucky guys talking about Tennessee. How about that? Shut up.
Yeah.
In what world would we only hold the people to their area of absolute expertise, and you cannot have an opinion outside of that? That would be pretty boring sports, right?
That would be exactly. And the whole they live rent free. I think about Tennessee. I'm not going to deny that. I watch all of their football games and pull against them. I used to do the same thing with Louisville back when they were relevant. I used to watch a lot of Louisville basketball games. I used to know Louisville's roster just as well as I would know Kentucky's. And maybe that'll happen again, but I haven't had to worry about Louisville in the last decade or so. But back when, Pitino was rolling, I watched every Louisville game. They're all rivals. Why would I not?
It's called a rivalry.
I don't understand. Yeah, so that's the same thing with Tennessee. Of course I think about you guys.
It's easy to play of course you're talking about us, instead of actually taking on the argument. Instead of actually looking at what you're saying and saying, all right, Peake, it's not so much that you're talking about us, it's what you're saying is inaccurate and here's why. You didn't get a lot of that, did you?
I didn't. The counter arguments that I got, one guy commented, this guy I'm talking about, 5 straight times. So 5, he kept watching and kept getting more upset. And he said, we have all-time top 10, or was it their top 10 in all-time wins. I'm like, well, the point I'm making is the last 20 years, first of all. I'm not denying that Tennessee is not a top 25 program historically, even though they claim maybe 4 or 5 more championships than they actually should. But the last 20 years, man, you can just look at those records. It's not good. It's Tennessee football is on the up right now, but I've said for the last 20, 25 years, they're a mid-program who happened to win a national title in 1998. Good for them. Hey, I would love, that's one more than I've seen Kentucky win in football, so they should celebrate that, absolutely. But they think they're like Alabama, and they've just been down, and that's just not the case.
You got my U of L friend group talking about it, because there was a part of that conversation about, like, U of L versus Tennessee the last 20 or 30 years. And I have a U of L friend who is a huge butt slapper. I was surprised to hear him say it, but he said, I want to get his words exactly right, but he said, Louisville football hasn't done one thing that Tennessee hasn't. And I was surprised to hear him say that. But Heisman, right? That's one thing. Tennessee hadn't had a Heisman in the last 20 or 30 years.
BCS victories?
Yeah, multiple. Tennessee won the Orange Bowl.
Too much U of L defense.
Yeah, that was the only thing I didn't like about that rant, was that I did, kind of hype up Louisville football a little bit. But I think, honestly, here's the thing, though. Even if it's not entirely true, Tennessee has been better than Louisville. They've been slightly better than Louisville, right? I mean, it's not – they should – to what they think that they should be light years ahead.
But Tennessee wouldn't even entertain that conversation. They would roll their eyes and scoff. You're comparing us to Louisville, please.
Well, I would say look at your last 20 years of results.
No, that's where the whole point of the thing is. I think the title of the article was Tennessee's been mid, and their fans think that they're better than they actually are, which I think is proven to be accurate throughout that. I want to get your all's opinion just on one more thing before we get into Weird Wednesday. This came from Mark's story. I tweeted it out there. I don't know why I'm even bringing it up, just to get me more ticked off, but we'll do it anyways. This is from Sports Betting. Odds of being the next city to get an NBA expansion team. Seattle is even money. They're even money. That seems like a guarantee, a sure thing that they're going to get an NBA team. Las Vegas, 2-1. So they seem pretty sure the next two teams to get an NBA expansion team are going to be Seattle and Vegas. Outside of those two, Mexico City, 10-1. Kansas City, 12-1. Vancouver, bring back the Grizzlies, 14. San Diego, 16. Louisville, 18. Nashville, 20. Tampa, 20. St. Louis, 22. Pittsburgh, 25. Austin, 33. And Montreal, the last on the list, 66-1 odds. So if you're wondering where is Louisville there, they are the 7th favorite, just ahead of Nashville, to get an NBA expansion team. Stephen Peake, WIldcats Tongue, your thoughts?
Well, I'm actually shocked we're ahead of Nashville.
That is shocking. That's not good. I would say Nashville at 20-1 is great value.
Yeah, I mean, you look at how much that city's grown since Louisville and Nashville were on like the same tier back in the late 90s. I don't think that's ever going to happen, man. I just don't think Kentucky's ever getting an NBA team. And one of those reasons are just, is there enough corporate dollars to share? And you already have Louisville and Kentucky basketball, which are behemoths on their own. And I mean, do our attention spans, is there the bandwidth here to support, to have that many basketball games going on in our state at the same time? That I just don't know that people could get fully behind it in the way that some of the other cities might be able to.
Yeah, I think like the optimist in me says like, oh, this is a basketball crazed state that really want like craze being like cheering for more basketball teams. The other side of me is like, wait, the NBA season's during the college basketball season? Yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch Kentucky basketball. That's definitely part of it, I think. I mean, if Louisville got an NBA team, I would be the biggest. I'm currently wearing a Kentucky Colonels T-shirt right now. However,
not that we could see it.
No, not that you could see it. I definitely would not be as big of a fan as I would be a Kentucky fan, obviously. But if there was a conflict between Kentucky basketball and Louisville NBA basketball, you know what I'm picking every time.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you all. You all are right. It makes me sad. Louisville's never going to get an NBA team in my lifetime.
How long have you been holding on to that sound?
Ever since Tom George crushed the dream back in 2004.
It would have been cool to have, Shea playing and winning the NBA Finals right here in Louisville with, what could have been the OKC franchise playing in Louisville. That would have been pretty fun.
Yep, that would have been neat. I think people would have supported that. You all are right, though, and it almost feels especially like a long shot in the nil era where corporate dollars are even that much more important, and how many are there realistically to go around in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, more specifically Louisville? There really ain't ain't much. And
seems to be
Louisville and
less
UK
and
are
less.
always going to be the bigger shows, and the NBA ain't going to be.
Are we still paying on the Yum Center? We ever paid that off?
Don't. That was such a terrible, terrible deal. I don't know where things are, actually. That'd probably be another good Weird Wednesday, just getting into the details of all that. I do have an inside source from many, 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 many years ago, who the NBA, they desperately want to be in Mexico City. They think it'd be just an absolute money bonanza down there. They think it'd catch on in a major way. There'd be a frenzy, that their atmospheres would be the best in the NBA. The issue is they are sure, they're not worried, they're sure that no NBA player would want to spend the majority of their year living in Mexico City. Even though Mexico City, I'm sure, is a great place. It's one of the biggest cities in the entire world, to the point that the NBA even developed like compounds around. They started to propose, hey, we're going to have living facilities for the players in Mexico City. So it's going to be state of the art. It was going to be like the NBA bubble. It was going to be super nice, and this is where these players were going to live during the season, and then afterwards they could go live wherever they wanted. But then they thought that even that, just the concept of like, hey, you're going to be living in a compound with your friends, and they thought that would even be too much of a stretch. So they really want to go to Mexico City. They just haven't figured out how to get the players to want to be in Mexico City. I would think that maybe the $100 million contracts would be a good starting point, but I guess they could get those $100 million contracts anywhere. Kansas City is 4th, Vancouver 5th, San Diego 6th, and Louisville. Yeah, you guys are right. It's never going to happen with Louisville. That they nearly did it, nearly got the Grizzlies, but ended up not happening, as we all know. But wanted to get your all's takes on that. Hadn't heard Louisville in the NBA mentioned in a good while, so just the fact that they were even listed, I thought was worth bringing up.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't people? So I don't understand, why do NBA players not? Why would they be okay with living in Vancouver, but then not want to live in Mexico City?
Probably racism. No, I don't know. Maybe it is the language barrier. Maybe it is just the fact that Mexico City is.
Language barrier makes more sense.
I also think that maybe not a lot of NBA players want to live in Vancouver, to be fair.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's totally true.
The language barrier there too. Yeah, I think that Mexico City would be cool, but yeah, getting a full roster down there, that like I'm excited to move out of the country.
Yeah, the fan base would be crazy, especially if they like you see a lot of the European countries that bring their like, I know this is kind of a segue into what you're talking about, but like their soccer environment into the basketball arena. That would be awesome in Mexico City. Yeah. But I doubt that they would ever have a contender.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 cities bigger in the entire world.
Wow.
Than Mexico City. None in America, if you were wondering. All right. Wow. Let's get into it. It's Weird Wednesday, and your interest is about to be piqued with Stephen Peake.
Wrote a song about it? Like to hear it? Here you go. Free your mind.
All right, Stephen Peake, take it away.
All right. So, we were just talking about Mexico City. Did any guys happen to catch USA-Mexico Gold Cup game?
I followed along with it. I did not watch it, but I heard there was a little bit of a controversy, a little bit of handball action that may have affected things.
It could have been called, I guess, but like the real issue though is that the biggest controversy was players sitting out. Like the best player, or allegedly the best player that the United States men's national team has ever seen, sitting out a year before we host the World Cup. We're hosting the World Cup next year.
People forget that.
I should be so excited for this, and I'm not. Because I know the U.S. has an absolutely zero chance of winning it. Now, maybe you can advance to the knockout stage. Maybe you win a game in a knockout stage for the first time since, 2002? But it kind of just, it brings back this whole, soccer culture in America. And I'm tired of losing to teams and to countries that the richest country in the world should not be losing to. We should not go into another World Cup thinking, oh my gosh, can we beat Ghana? Nobody can point to Ghana on the map. I don't even know if you live in Ghana that you could point to where it is on the map. Like, how is it that is not just a given? We will beat Iran. We will beat Ghana. We will beat, Mexico. I understand that their soccer culture is better than ours, but come on, we have how many millions of people here? Over 300 million. We can't figure out how to get 11 great players so that we can win this thing. I'm telling you, there will be no sweeter victory in your life as an American than if we win the World Cup one year. Like, I don't know that there will be a sweeter, like, feeling, a more patriotic feeling that I've had in a long time than if we were to win the World Cup. Can you imagine how obnoxious we would be?
It's one thing to win in basketball when that's our sport, but to win in their sport, that would be something else.
It'd be electric. We've talked about that on Roll Call over the years, like where that would rank in your sports wish list. And I think when we did that, I had that pretty much at the top. I think I said maybe like an undefeated UK football season would be the dream of dreams. But I do think the United States men's team winning the World Cup is something that I desperately would love to see in my lifetime. Just because, one, the World Cup's an amazing event, truly one of the best, although I am very worried about the new format. I'll get to that here in just a moment of that new format. But it's really fun to watch. The entire world cares about it. They've been doing it forever. And to win it would just be you get the 3 group games, you get the knockout stage. Just think how many fun times that is with friends or family, or going to a restaurant or a bar and then going all the way to the championship game. And I agree with you, Peake, to the point where I think people would be poured out into streets as if they just won World War III.
Yes,
the
exactly.
scenes from around the country, I think, would be great from a morale standpoint.
Yep.
I think it could help some of the political division. I know that's a wild take to say out loud, but I just feel that would probably happen.
To an extent, yes, absolutely. Because everyone would wrap themselves in the flag for that, for those a month and a half or however long it would last. And then for 4 years, we just get to be obnoxious about it.
That'd be cool.
Might even get Roush to wear the flag a little bit.
No, he hates America. that would be a bridge too far. Whoever we'd be playing in the championship game, he'd be rooting for that other team. I have no doubt about that. Now you're just getting me all pumped up for it. And Peake, I agree. Like, this isn't. I'm not trying to be a bigot like I normally am, but the United States shouldn't lose to Ghana in soccer. I agree with you. And Ghana's got a rich history. Yeah. But, like, it's not just Ghana. They shouldn't lose to Belgium in soccer. Right. Belgium's the size of, is it smaller than Texas?
Oh, easily, sure.
You know, if we had one state, if we had California say, hey, guys, we're going to beat you all in basketball, the rest of the country would be like, hell no, you're not.
Right.
But we let this tiny little country called Belgium that specializes in waffles knock us out of the World Cup? And that's not okay.
And when that happened, that was 2014. And at the time, I think a lot of people were thinking the United States of America is going to be a force to be reckoned with on the world stage. And it just never materialized. And it still hasn't. Even with this golden generation, I'm going to use air quotes. You can't see it unless you're watching on YouTube. The golden generation is, what are they going to do? Are they going to win a trophy? They're going to win anything of significance? I mean, when you have the best player opting out, that is, I don't know what, you can't punish him because you need him to play. So what do you do? But this is where, like, lack of accountability from U.S. soccer fans. I am sick of the U.S. soccer culture in America. I used to work for Louisville City FC. I had meetings with a lot of creative people who were doing the Coopers and the supporters section, which they did an awesome job. But this whole soccer culture in America needs a complete do-over. Because, TJ, what we actually need if we're going to win this thing is we need real American sports fans to care. We need Nick Roush. We need Adam Luckett. We need WIldcats Tongue and everybody a part of the We're Up to No Good show. And we need TJ Walkers. We need people who tailgate for American football games to care about this and to hold the team accountable, hold the entire federation accountable, and hold guys like Christian Pulisic accountable before the tournament is over, because we only hear about these. This only became a take after they lost. But to say, hey, man, why aren't you playing? I mean, Steph Curry and LeBron James, they didn't have nothing to prove when they went over and played in the Olympics this past summer. And they went up, they represented their country. They knew what it meant to wear the jersey, wear the stars and stripes across their chest, and go out there and win gold and represent America. These soccer players, they don't have that. They're not interested in that. And there isn't this, I'm doing this not just for myself mentality that the other countries have. They don't have that dog in them. The United States men's national team is so soft and it's because of our soccer culture. Listen to our like stupid ass like songs and stuff that we do at games where we just chant about how much we love the team and where you go we'll follow. It's lame, it's corny. You don't go on the road to follow your team, so you're just saying nothing. Like you're just doing nothing. We try to be Britain and we try to be like Latin America, but we don't. In every other country has put their own piece of their culture into this sport. And in America, we just have a bunch of people who think they're cultured because they watch soccer. So they try to act like they're from another country. When in reality, what should American soccer look like? It should be like pom-poms in the stands. It should look a lot like American college football. But we can't do that because that's Americanizing the sport. And our soccer supporters, they get all upset about that.
Yeah, I see a lot of European fans like making fun of American chants, saying that we're too nice. And I always got confused by that, but I realized that they're talking about soccer fans. Yeah. If they were to go to like an LSU football game, they would not be thinking that those chants are pretty nice.
We don't have sing-song culture in America. That's not us. We do simple chants. Go Big Blue. And I love Louisville City games are a blast, and I love what the supporters do there. But they're never going to get the entire stadium doing their songs that no one understands what they're saying, and because that's not our culture. That's not us.
I like this take. I agree with it about the culture aspect. When the soccer boom happened about 10 years ago or so in this country, and then everybody started making their names like Sporting this or FC that or Real this, I was like, what are we doing? This is kind of embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
It's all right to want to emulate the leagues and the enthusiasm that these teams and leagues have overseas, but we don't need to just copy their names. Yeah, we can still keep it American and then just still try to say, hey, we're going to play quality soccer like they do across the pond.
Yeah, I always get confused when I try to say that, like, I cheer for Louisville City FC. It's like, I wish they just had a mascot. It's like, I'm a WIldcats fan.
Yeah.
But I can't say I'm an FC fan because that's every football club. Louisville City, why is there a city on there where it's just Louisville? But I can't say I'm a Louisville fan because that's a whole other thing. So there should be a distinct way of saying Louisville City FC without saying the whole thing.
Can I tell you about what happened to me when I worked for the team? I was doing their social media, and we went by LCFC.
I remember the LCFC.
Leicester City Football Club also goes by LCFC, and they were kind of on a bit of a run during that time. And so we're using the hashtag LCFC, and we look ridiculous doing it. Louisville City FC, and what frustrated me the most, because I worked that first year at Louisville City, we took over the Orlando City franchise in the USL. And Orlando City that year switched to Orlando City SC. It's not great, but it's better. I mean, at least you could say it's a soccer club, because when you say Louisville City Football Club, like, stop it. Stop calling it the pitch. Stop calling your teams football clubs, because no one understands that. It sounds like it sounds fake. It sounds like you're trying to, you're trying to be something that you're not.
In a vacuum, Louisville City Football Club seems like a place where like the 3 stars from Moore High School go to train before committing to whatever college they go to.
I will say this though, with the Louisville City FC, it's still a better name than what the Racing Louisville initially came up with.
What was that?
I don't think you can say it on air. Oh no, it just kind of.
They came up with a name that you can't say on air.
It was proof. It was proof.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Proof? Yeah. Well, that's this whole like. There's new teams that are being added to MLS, and they're like San Diego. Guess what their name is going to be? San Diego FC. Wow. Is there any originality and any thought being put into this stuff? Because, again, it's called Calcio in Italy. It's called soccer in other parts of the world. We call it soccer. Let's call it soccer. Every other country, like I said, has put their own little thing into this. Latin America has the capos and the drums. England with their witty songs. Italy came up with the tifo and the ultras. Eastern Europe has like the pyrotechnics and the flares. In South Korea, they have like chants based off of K-pop songs. What does America do? What is our thing?
We just copy
marching bands.
We have no culture. In soccer.
WIldcats Tongue's right. Just get the marching bands into these stadiums. Let's SEC it up as much as we can. Obviously, we've got the drinking stuff down. Pretty good at that.
We're good at that. No, okay, so here's an idea that I had for U.S. soccer. Here's how you fix the culture and you get people to care, because you're never going to be great if people don't care about it. You're never going. Who are the stars for the kids to look up to on the U.S. men's national team? Well, if they watched that entire Gold Cup, you probably couldn't pick out one. So here's my plan. The U.S. should do a tour of the SEC, like in August, right before football season kicks off.
I'm on board with this.
Let's have, like, could you imagine the United States men's national team? They're hosting, like, Belgium. Why not Belgium again? And they come out to Enter Sandman at Kyle Field. And you get their students to, like, we're going to adopt Ural's game day traditions. Because we want to show the world what America's, because they're not, the rest of the world isn't watching college football. They have no idea. The European mind can't comprehend, 4 hours of a passion like that. The coming out to Grove Street in Lexington, these kind of things that we do in America, pom-poms in the stands, cheerleaders on the sidelines, like, let's show the world our culture. Let's bring our culture to this game. I think by doing a tour of some of the big SEC stadiums and hosting, like, European teams, when you play that on YouTube, then the players coming out at Texas A&M, I thought that English team would be, like, shaking.
Where they could run down and touch the rock at Clemson.
Yes.
Wide out at Penn State.
Dude, yeah. I'm all for that. I think that's a great idea. It's hard to fathom how they haven't tried to do this. Or you could even, we have an SEC bias and an SEC slam. I'm wearing my new SEC belt over here. I'll show it for the cameras here in a second once one of you two start talking. But hell, do NFL. Play a game at Lambeau.
You also have an advantage, like mentioning the marching bands. In football, they can't play during the play. That's not true in soccer. You just play the entire time, and then that's how you build traditions. Hey, we're going to play this song every game, sing along, and that's how you do it.
That's it. You get LSU playing neck down at Death Valley. As you've got some Mexican player trying to kick a PK or something like that. Hell yeah.
Those, like, polite Brits would hear the lyrics to neck. It was what did you just say?
And the U.S. soccer, what they can do to try to encourage this is to say, like, we want to see who has the best game day atmosphere in the SEC. So you challenge the students and the rest of the fan base to bring their A game, because, hey, this game's broadcasted all over the world. Time to show what the LSU Tigers in-game atmosphere is about. And I think, too, U.S. soccer, you'll know when they make it. When guys are calling in to call-in shows, like, how come Christian Pulisic didn't play last night? When you have that guy calling into the show, then you know, like, we're on to something. But right now, it's kind of the same person who goes to soccer games, and they're the kind of person who say, well, the only sport that I watch is football, and I'm like, well, you sound fun. That's the kind, like, you got to have that guy,
dude.
But you need the SEC fan too.
You're hitting all the right chords with me today. I think soccer is the least inclusive sport that exists, despite them just lying about how inclusive they want to be. Soccer fans want to bring in soccer fans that will play by their rules and be like normal soccer fans. Hell no, just bring in anybody. You want to watch the sport? We don't care if you want to sing the chants or not sing the chants, or if you want to participate, you can call it whatever you want. Just come in. Welcome. Let's get as many people in as we want.
On the big board so people know what they are.
I went to a Louisville City FC long name game earlier this past year, and I very much want to be a part of that if I can. Like that's a really fun thing. But I sat maybe 2 sections away from the group that was singing, couldn't understand a word, and I felt I could never join in. The reason why people overseas know those songs is because they grow up singing every single song and they just learn it over their life. Yeah, I don't know that stepping in for the first time in the stadium.
Yeah, I hear you. I got to push back on just one little thing with Peake, just that you mentioned earlier, and I do think it's important to the conversation, the overall sentiment that we have here, is that the Gold Cup, like, should the Gold Cup matter to the American players? And your whole sentiment is yes, but when you compare it to the Olympics and whatnot, we have to draw a line there, because you only get the LeBron James and the Kevin Durant when it is the Olympics, and maybe the World Cup of basketball I think they've participated in at some point. But do you know, for the AmeriCup, the United States roster that they put out there for basketball, Reginald Perry, John Jenkins, Rob Baker, not even Ron Baker, Rob Baker, Nazir Little was on the team. Malik frickin' Williams from U of L was on the USA team that beat the Bahamas by 22 just a couple months ago.
Only 22.
Yeah, only 22 for the America. They only beat Puerto Rico by 1, for Pete's sake. So they lost to Cuba. You can't be losing to Cuba, although they got a road trip to Havana out of it. That had to be kind of cool.
But basketball is doing fine.
Yeah, but my point is that like they just deem it not important enough to them. But I think your overall sentiment is it needs to be start winning, win everything. You're American soccer, and you have very little to show. Despite being the best country in the world at pretty much everything else, you stink at soccer. So just start winning stuff. I'm with you on that.
Our best players that play basketball play in the United States. Our best players who play for America play elsewhere. So when you have a chance to play in your own country, to be on national TV in your own country every game, you have to play. That should be a given. Your best players for America, if you really care about this sport and you care about your country's involvement in it, then how about show up and play? Because right now, like I said, kids don't have a U.S. soccer player to look up to right now. And when they do, those guys are playing at AC Milan. They're playing for other European teams. So you never get to go see them. The only time you would get to go see them was last week. And the best players didn't play. Now, some of them, they had other obligations for other teams because they're in like the FIFA Club World Cup that's also going on.
And I actually think that's a good thing for American soccer, that more of your national players are too busy playing good soccer.
It is, but my point is that Christian Pulisic could have played. Yeah. He's supposed to be the LeBron James of American soccer. He sat out. So, like, if you're a kid who's interested in the sport, who, has aspirations of playing one day, or could if you were, if you had the right role model to look up to, but you never see him because you're never watching AC Milan games.
I mean, that's like Luka Doncic sitting out of a tournament for Slovenia, wherever he's from, or Giannis sitting out for Greece. That he's the guy for that team. We don't have that guy.
Right. And then anytime that they get a chance to go play for the national team, I would look. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but you're saying that they do most of the time.
I don't know about all the little tiny tournaments, but that they play in more than just the Olympics.
I mean, there you go. So that's like, I get why LeBron James and those guys might sit out some of the other smaller tournaments, but for U.S. soccer, which is like what, our 6th or 7th, top sport in America, like hockey really took off recently, and we all thought that soccer. There was a book written that said the United States and China are soon going to be like soccer dominant countries. And China's a lot closer than we are now because, well, their president cares about it. And I think it is something that honestly, like, it's not the most important thing for our government to care about at all, but it does. That's like one of the few things where you do kind of get everybody on board and get, wrap around the flag. And it is good to have that. It is good to have where, like, everybody's on board. Let's go beat the hell out of Germany again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah. And we don't do that in other sports. Like in basketball, you have to wait for one of these tournaments to come around. That never in America. International friendlies are common in the sport of soccer. So yeah, invite them over.
USA chants should fill every college campus as the United States men's national team rolls into town. It would be one of the more, like, I don't know. It would be one of the things that could actually push this sport forward in a way that hasn't been done before. And you can show, like, people care about this, and if you expose people to it, they might care a little bit about it more too. There was a guy who did the PA for Louisville City games for a long time, Lance McGarvey.
We love Lance.
He was not a soccer guy. He kind of made fun of it a little bit when I introduced him to, like, hey, you want to do this job, and he has a Louisville City tattoo on his arm now. I mean, he started going to the games, and he's like, man, this is fun. It's 90 minutes. It's constant action. And every time a goal is scored, it takes an insane amount of skill and teamwork and a little bit of luck. It's amazing. It's a fun sport to watch, and I think it's been hijacked in a lot of ways by like you said, like fans who basically like, we want to do it this way, and we won't accept any other way of doing it. And when English soccer started to lose, they started losing interest. It was actually the hooligans who kind of brought it back to life. There's a great book about that called Among the Thugs. And the hooligans, although they needed to get rid of it, those guys, they kind of went to games ironically. And they just talked a bunch of trash the whole game. And they did their songs. They made fun of the other team. They made fun of the other team's fans, they weren't even going for the sport. They were going just to be hooligans. But by doing that, they've raised the interest in the sport. They kept the sport alive. They've packed stadiums. I don't know if we need to lean all the way that way, but here's what I think we need. We need people who go to like basketball games and get like really upset and chant "ref, you suck" and expletives and stuff. That it needs that because it needs that sort of passion.
Yeah, I know overseas when a ref makes a bad call, like they hear whistles and boos, and that's really about it. Imagine if they did that in front of a packed, like, I don't know, Death Valley down in LA.
Yeah, man, they would be scared.
I would be kind of scared for their life, but that would show what we can do as fans.
I've got to wave the ignorance flag a little bit. Like, Death Valley booing an official, I'm sure, is very comparable to Berlin booing a soccer official. Like, I think that these atmospheres are comparable and similar throughout the world. We just need to meet them. We just need to level up.
It would be different. We don't need to be like that.
I'd love to find out, and I'd love to keep this conversation going, but we have to do our last break. Peake, if you want to hang out, I want to talk about the format of the World Cup, and you brought up something that I wanted to touch on, but I think a good comparison for United States being able to figure this out is look at Wrexham. Look at what Wrexham's done.
Yeah.
And that show even. So we'll talk about all this. We'll keep the soccer conversation going. And we will get to your text on the Gameday Men's Health text line. This is Kentucky Roll Call. We've got Stephen Peake, WIldcats Tongue, joining me, TJ Walker. One final segment coming up next.
Sunrise with Scoops.
Maybe you all can help me.
but design is key.
Field, you're welcome. Everyone seems to forget that. Iran? They tried to hide WMDs from us. Can't hide on the field. England's acting real confident for blowing a 13-colony lead. So he's on the WMDs in Iraq, not Iran. And what has England done for us? Thanks for James Corden. Thanks for Piers Morgan. What gems? We just went there for oil. Better at war, better economy, better athletes.
Welcome back. Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Talking a little soccer with Stephen Peake and Wildcats Tongue. That's been a fun discussion today.
That's food for a prisoner.
Been a good show. Have you all seen this video? Every USA fan who's ever watched soccer before?
Let's go!
What else am I hearing in my ears right now?
That video of the USA soccer fan who
gotcha
who is just watching soccer for the first time. I think it was a very popular video during the most recent World Cup, and the most recent one was the one in Qatar, right? The one they did in the winter.
Yes, 2022.
Yes.
Yeah.
The winter one, I don't know. For like a one-time thing, it was okay, but
not a fan.
I did not like it when you had football on, basketball on. World Cup's especially great when it's in the summer and you've got nothing going on. But welcome back, Kentucky Roll Call, Stephen Peake, Wildcats Tongue. I want to just give a brief update on what this World Cup is going to look like because this is new for the first time ever. We're going to be having a little bit of a different World Cup. 32 teams, no more. It's 48 teams make up the World Cup. And
let them all in.
The knockout stage is now going to be a round of 32. Instead of 8 groups of 4 teams, it's going to be 12 groups of 4 teams. Instead of just the top 2 teams in each group advancing, the top 2 teams in each group will still advance, but also the 8 best third-place teams will advance to the round of 32. That's where they lose. I mean, they lost.
Why even have it? Why even have the group stage then?
How do you if you're the 9th best third place team?
Oh, you're livid.
How do they determine what's the 8th best and the 9th best? Is
goal differential probably, but you're playing different teams.
It'll be points. It'll be points in your group, and then you're right. The tie break. So like, all right, you have 4 points. 7 teams have 4 points. Which ones are we deciding to get it in? Peake's right. It'll probably be goal differential.
The chances of there being a tie for that goal differential and then going to a coin flip or whatever they decide on.
Yeah, because it can't be away goals because there's no I don't know what it would be.
That's a great point. Coin flip seems almost likely. We don't need third place team. If you didn't finish top 2 in your group, I'm sorry, your tournament is over.
And then
see you in 4 years.
That takes away from every year. I'm not a big soccer guy, but I do know the terms like the group of death.
Yeah.
There's no.
You honestly, 3 of them will go.
You want to be in a group of death so that you have the excuse of, hey, well, we could still be the 3rd best team here.
Right.
You still would rather be in an easy group and just win that and take that out.
You still get seeded, but
there's not the fear of we may not make it. It's just we'll just get a worse seed. That kind of thing.
Yeah, because for the U.S., the goal has always just been, hey, just get out of the group, and then
2/3 of third place teams are going to advance. So if you're not one of the third place teams advanced, then you are especially a crappy third place team.
Was the NCAA behind this?
That's great. Seth Davis is promoted. He was behind it. It was his baby to expand this. We don't need expansion. The tournament's going to include 104 matches instead of 64 matches. The third place team thing is just ridiculous. A 32 team knockout stage. Knockout stage is kind of, I don't know, subjective to begin with, just because you can get to PKs. You want less of that. The knockout stage is exciting, make no mistake about it, but it does feel like it gets a little random to a certain point in the knockout stage. Adding an entirely another round, I don't think that's a good idea. The whole thing, I don't know. Just go ahead and win it, though. That'll get me on board.
The only thing that's not random is that England will lose in the knockout round.
That's what we have to hope for.
They are the Tennessee of international soccer.
2010, when we tied them and their goalie made that big goof, that was a great time. Yeah. That was just a lot of fun. Good family fun.
What was that, 8 a.m. kickoff? I was at Hooters at 8 a.m. For that game. And it was a good crowd there. And, that 2010 World Cup, I think that was the one where Landon Donovan had the game-winning goal against anybody? Algeria?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Algeria. And the 94th minute. And where I was at, and this is again 9 or 10 in the morning, the place just went crazy. And what was so cool was that there were so many people at Buffalo Wild Wings that didn't even know the rules of soccer. but they were there because America was playing. And they, we got to beat Algeria. Can we beat Algeria? I mean, that's the issue too. Like, why are we playing these countries that I feel like that should be a 4-0 win, 4-0, excuse me, 4-0.
You can say 4-0.
Yeah, we should be able to say 4-0.
Slovenia
on the field, not the pitch.
Weren't we fortunate to tie Slovenia too? Wasn't there magic in that match as well? Why are we struggling with Slovenia and Algeria?
We should have won that game. I think they called offsides on Michael Bradley, who had a game-winning goal. But yeah, I mean, like, the World Cup is so much fun because everybody cares. Like, everybody in the world, like, we all stop. Like, it's weird. Like, in 1994, there was, like, tension between countries, the U.S. and Iran, I think, at the time.
Always.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's just been my entire life. But, there was like, I wonder what will happen. These two countries playing against each other. I mean, nothing happened except the U.S. won. And that was the same year that the guy from Colombia had their own goal and they killed him when he came back to his country. Pablo Escobar, I think was his name, but not the same one.
Yeah, we may not need to care that much about soccer.
No, we don't. Nobody needs to care that much. But I'm saying, like, it's the entire world, like the what's on the line in these games, and that's what makes it so fun to watch because you can see it on the faces and the fans and the players. Like, this means something, and then you have the U.S. where I feel like when they lose, it's just okay. Well, we get orange slices after the game, and my mom takes me home. It's just a totally different.
Yeah, people do need to care more, and that's where it starts. So I agree. I like the barnstorming idea of going down south and getting more interest in it and whatnot. And it's cool that the United States is hosting a World Cup. You never know when they're going to get to do that again. So that's neat. Can we read some text on the Game Day Men's Health text line?
Let's do it.
All right. Hooligans were fans of their clubs. They were just bigger fans of chaos and fighting.
I feel like that describes a lot of SEC fans as well.
Yes, yes, exactly.
This texter brought up the Chinese robot sports leagues. Have you all seen that?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a conversation for a different Weird Wednesday. Yeah, I have seen it as well. I wonder where that's going to go, if there's going to be a market for that or not. It's just almost funny to watch now more than anything, but it's not entertaining.
I don't know.
We'll see.
There's a Calipari, they're not robots joke in there somewhere. I can't find it.
Belgium's golden generation should have won a World Cup. Stars all over it. Russia should dominate if size of country matters. Well, it's not so much size of country, but population matters, and it also has to do with size of country, population, and
GDP.
GDP? Are you peaceful? Are your people able to play soccer?
Right, yeah.
Do you have a are they free to play soccer? Is it a priority of the country?
Do you remember when North Korea showed up at the World Cup the 2 World Cups ago with their fake fans?
Yes, they had to pay fans. There was Chinese people, right? That they flew in to act as North Korean fans.
It seems like that's racist for North Korea to do that. To just be like, no, they're Korean. I don't know.
North Korea didn't want to risk actually having to send thousands of people outside their country to be like, wow,
okay.
This is the world. Interesting. A relegation system is the answer, says one texter. For some reason, we look at the success of relegation around the world and said, nah, we'll just do it our own way. That's a great text into the Game Day Men's Health text line. We copy everything from Europe to the point that we have Real Salt Lake. Like, what are we doing? But then the one thing we don't copy is an incredibly successful promotion and relegation system that would be amazing for American sports, and that's the point where we're just like, no, actually, money, too good, too great, sorry.
There's a world, I did the work for it, but then never made the content about it, where I developed a relegation system for college basketball.
Oh, love it.
And I think that would be quite successful in this imaginary world that would never happen.
That would be great. I think you could do one in football. People talk about what's next, and I've been a big proponent of, I think you're going to see the Big Ten and the SEC and some others eventually just break off and have their own league that's just similar to the NFL. You could do something like that and also have a promotion and relegation aspect to it. Have a 32-team college football super league, but the 4 bottom teams, they get dropped down to League 2, and the 4 teams in League 2 get to move up to the Super League. That would be incredible.
Yeah, it gives those teams at the bottom, when you think, we're just going to finish 4-8 this year, well, you have something to play for.
We better finish 4-8. We can't finish 3.
Yeah, you can't go on with 8 in the league. You'll move down. So, promotion relegation is something that the United Soccer League, the league that Louisville City is a part of, has talked about, it seems like they're kind of pushing in that direction to be an alternative to Major League Soccer, which is a closed system. And, of course, promotion relegation creates urgency, creates, like, you can't take games off.
I just like the idea, and they are going to do that in the USL, promotion and relegation, which, again, I know the USL isn't like the biggest thing in the world, but I like the idea of just like a small little soccer community in Chattanooga. If they work really hard and they're really good and the breaks go their way, they could be playing New York City in soccer. Like, you could have New York versus Chattanooga. Like, I just like the idea of these small little communities in these towns that if they do things the right way and they're fortunate and their work pays off, that they could be in the big leagues. And that's why the Wrexham story is incredible. Mm-hmm. And then they've turned more into like the little engine that could into like, oh, you've got multi-hundred millionaires that are funding you all. But to do it in that short time span is really, I mean, it is truly incredible what they've been able to do with Wrexham.
That might be one of the best sports stories of the decade.
Maybe of the century.
Could be.
But in 4 years, they took a team that was in the 5th tier of English football and worked their ass off to the point that they're in the championship league. They're in the 2nd tier.
And I love it too.
They're one promotion away from the Premier League. It's hard to wrap your brain around how incredible that is, but they did it, and that's the beauty of promotion and relegation that we're never going to get in America, but credit to the USL for at least trying.
I think it's the solution, relegation to Major League Baseball with all these, like, the owners that don't want to spend money, like the Pirates or the Rockies. They never spend money to do anything. Send them to minor leagues. We already got a system in place. There's the perfect system already. Hey, Louisville Bats, you want to do well this year? Guess what? You get to be in the majors.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Imagine the New York Yankees coming to Slugger Field because Louisville was promoted.
We got the Baseball Open Cup idea a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like the idea, get Pittsburgh Pirates out of the MLB. Let's get the Toledo Mud Hens a run. Let's let them have a year or two. All right, another texter into the Game Day Men's Health text line. I know you're going to get mad and disagree with me very much, but I don't consider you all real UK fans anymore. Real UK fans don't talk about soccer.
UK, I mean, United Kingdom, they actually talk about soccer a lot.
You've got us there.
I mean, the UK men's team almost won a national title a few years ago, so
people forget that. Yeah. I wish they would have. USA Soccer will never be relevant. Take a look at the top college soccer powerhouses. They are loaded with foreign players. That's one thing I won't get on board with, although you're not wrong that most of the best players in soccer are not American. No breaking news there. I think it's just not impossible. Like, I think American athletes are more athletic than any other country's athletes. So if the best of the best were playing soccer, which I think some do, but some don't, obviously, they go into other sports, I think America could be up there. I don't think it's a lack of talent issue.
Yeah, it's not, and we have all of the, and we have the tools, we have the money. Like, it's people like to blame the pay-to-play system. There is, like, that needs to be blamed a little bit, but we know that, like, poverty doesn't equal great athletes. Like, a lot of the great athletes in all of our sports, a lot of them are coming from the suburbs.
That's a good point.
And so we act like, well, we're not opening it up. And yeah, maybe we do need to invest in other, parts of the country and other parts of our states to encourage, to expand the talent pool. That we absolutely should. But with all of the money and resources that we have, there is no reason you can't put together a team of just 11 to 14 guys who can beat anybody on any day. And there's no reason that the United States goal for this World Cup shouldn't be shy of the round of 8.
I'm right there with you. We did a bad job with the text line today. I'm so sorry, everybody. Could not care less about the World Cup. Wouldn't be in my top 25 sports moments. You're missing out if that's true. Top 25? That'd be crazy.
Talk to me whenever the U.S. makes a knockout round. You'll care then.
And they've been in the knockout round, and those games have been electric. That game against Belgium was in 2014, I think, was to get to the quarterfinals, I believe.
They made the quarterfinals in 2002.
So that was to get to the semifinals? Or they made the quarterfinals in 2002. Okay. Yeah. If you get the United States World Cup in a semifinal World Cup match, this country would be...
Just imagine, the English fans, if we won a World Cup before their... follow-up from, they won in 66, I think, 1966. They haven't won since. Could you imagine English fans if the United States beat them to one? I mean, come on. You wouldn't. That's the stuff I live for. That's what I like. I would wake up every day for 4 years. Like, this is so funny. I can't wait to get on social media and just, like, all the French fans who, like, this is what they live for. And for us, it's like our 6th or 7th favorite sport. And we beat them anyway.
That's why it's fun. That's why it's enjoyable. All right, there were probably about 15 texts we didn't get to. Wildcats Tongue and I will do that to start the show tomorrow. We're going to hit up some of your texts that we didn't get to because they're funny and they're good. Oh, that's the show. Everybody have a great day.
FM, WXVW, Jeffersonville. W230CK, Jeffersonville.
Hey there, business owners and church leaders. Want to reach more people in your community?